Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming from right here in my quaint little studio on Boxing Day, the day after Christmas. I hope all of you guys had a very Merry Christmas, a wonderful holiday season, and I hope it continues on through Boxing Day and the rest of the weekend. And I'm awfully glad that you guys decided to jump in and say hi to me today, because we do have some things to talk about. My name, of course, is John Campea, and this is the show where we talk about the things that we love. Movies and movie news, TV and streaming, all sorts of good stuff. I am not joined by anybody today. I've given everybody else the day off today, so it's just you and me and some Boxing Day glory with a couple of topics to talk about. And the way the show is going to go here today is like this. Going to start off by talking about a few topics I got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, I'm going to take your live comments and questions. So if on this Boxing Day you have some thoughts, theories, questions, opinions that you would like me to address, go ahead and use the super chat feature in the live chat. Now you got to be watching the show live and able to be able to do that. But if you are watching the show live, go ahead and fire on in a super chat in the live chat. And as long as it's appropriate to be addressed here on the show, I'll address it in the second part of the show. All right, guys, I had a wonderful Christmas with friends and family. I was a little bit under the weather, to be honest with you, but feeling a little bit better today, which is good. I hope you guys had a great one too. So let's get things started off here today, shall we? And we're going to start off with this. You know, if you're going to say that, one of the hallmarks that tells us and can give us maybe an indication as to how much are people anticipating watching certain movies? It's not the be all and end all, but one of the more interesting points of data that we have is how many people watch the trailer. When a movie comes out, generally speaking, I think almost all but one, if I remember correctly, and I might be wrong about this, of like the top 10 most viewed trailers in the first 24 hours, I believe they're all but one are in the $1 billion club, I think. So again, it's not a be all end all, but it is a little bit of an indication that gives us something. And you know what? 2025 had some remarkable trailers come out. Zootopia, Avatar, things like that. But we gathered up the top 5 most viewed trailers, the most successful trailers of 2025, movie trailers, that is. And I think a number of them are going to surprise you. Some of them will not, some of them will. But I know that the number 1 most viewed trailer of the year is going to surprise you. Let's go over and take a look at the top 5. And they are Toy Story 5 with 133 million views in its first 24 hours. At number 4 was Fantastic Four, First Steps. Its trailer garnered 144.1 million views in the first 24 hours. At number 3 was Lilo and Stitch, that gathered together 149.4 million views in the first 24 hours. At number 2 was the Moana live action trailer that came out. That got 161.2 million views. And the number 1 most viewed trailer in the first 24 hours was The Devil Wears Prada 2 with 100, and actually it won by a good margin, 181.5 million views. The Devil Wears Prada 2 at 181.5 million views. Now, there's a few interesting ones that are on the list. Like I said, the Avatar trailer, I think it got like 120 something million views. I think the Superman trailer got like 120 something million views. Zootopia 2, which is the biggest film of the year, at least so far. Zootopia 2 didn't crack the top 5. So it's kind of, again, this isn't definitive that cute. I'm not saying that these numbers, and let's be very clear about this, I'm not saying these numbers lay out a clear roadmap for how big the movies will be. But again, it is pretty interesting that the number 1 film out of all of them, in a year that had Avatar trailers, Zootopia trailers, Superman trailers, Supergirl trailers, in a year that had all those, the number 1 was The Devil Wears Prada 2. By the way, it even beat out the Odyssey trailer. The Odyssey trailer, I think, finished with just right around 130 million, 120 something million, if I'm not mistaken. So here's the thing. I don't want to draw too many conclusions, but I am going to bring up this one. When we got into discussions earlier this month about films that could really surprise and potential billion-dollar films, not that they will be billion-dollar films, but potential billion-dollar films. One of the movies I mentioned that a lot of people look kind of shocked at was when I said The Devil Wears Prada 2. And I said, I think people underestimate just how big of a following that original movie had. And by the way, even though I am not, your target demographic, I don't give a crap about fashion. You can just tell by looking at me, I don't know anything about fashion. But that first Devil Wears Prada movie, I rewatched it with Anne a month or two ago. And I was reminded, forget that it's about fashion and all, forget all that. It's a really good movie. Like, you can say whatever you want. The Devil Wears Prada was a really good movie. And its place in the zeitgeist for a big demographic of our population has remained very solid. And just, again, this is just an example. The first trailer was really short. It was just really more of a teaser. And nothing happens in it. You see shoes walking through an office, and you see Anne Hathaway get into an elevator with Meryl Streep. And that's really about it. And so I told my wife, I said, hey, the new Devil Wears Prada trailer just dropped. Do you want to watch it? She's like, yeah. She came in the living room, sat down with me, and we played it. And when it finished playing, I turned to look at her to ask her, so what did you think? And she had tears coming down her eyes. Nothing even happens in this trailer. Nothing even happens in this trailer. And yet I turned and she had tears down her eyes. And then for the rest of the day, Anne's phone was just blowing up with all of her friends. Oh my God, The Devil Wears Prada 2. Again, I'm not the target demographic, but I think, and I'm definitely not saying it's going to make $1 billion, okay? And as I said from the outset, the chart of the most viewed trailers is not necessarily a roadmap to how well it'll do at the box office overall, but the fact that it was number one. Again, in a year that had trailers for Superman, in a year that had trailers for Avatar, in a year that had a trailer for The Odyssey, in a year that had the trailers for Fantastic Four, the fact that The Devil Wears Prada 2, I think, should at least wake people up to the fact that this movie's going to do well. Now, whether well is $450 million, $750 million, potentially $1 billion, I don't know for sure. I'm just saying, don't look at me like I'm crazy when I say, hey, you know what? I think The Devil Wears Prada actually has some potential to maybe be $1 billion film, depending on how good it is and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, man, again, just a very interesting chart here today that The Devil Wears Prada 2 is the most viewed trailer of 2025. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What did you think about this? Are you surprised by the chart? I know I was pretty surprised by it. Do you think Devil Wears Prada 2 has potential to be fairly big? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, if you're going to say in the Marvel Cinematic Universe that the connective tissue guy was Nick Fury, you'd be absolutely right. And because Nick Fury never until Secret Invasion, which was terrible, and we try not to talk about it around here, but was never the front and center main guy. But he was always that guy that was there, that kind of connected everything together. It kind of seems like maybe they're transitioning that to Wong, maybe being that connective piece of tissue. And it's going to be interesting to see what that connective piece of tissue is going to be in the DC universe. But when we go back to the Netflix era of the Daredevil shows and that Daredevil universe, I don't think you can debate the fact that the connective tissue character throughout all of those was Night Nurse. It was Rosario Dawson, who popped up in just about all of the shows and always had a relevant part to play. Even, sometimes it was bigger, sometimes it was smaller, and all that kind of stuff. Well, as the MCU has now taken that Daredevil universe into its bosom and has brought it into the family. Of course, we've had, Daredevil, Kingpin has shown up. We've had Punisher return, and we're going to see others. There is now a report going around that's saying Rosario Dawson and her character Night Nurse is going to be the newest character from that Netflix era that is coming officially into the MCU. The good folks over at Geek Tyrant wrote the following. They said, according to insider Daniel Richtman, who many times scoops things that are right, sometimes that are wrong, so you got to take it with a little bit of a grain of salt, but still. According to insider Daniel Richtman, Rosario Dawson is expected to reprise her role as Claire Temple, better known to fans as the MCU's Night Nurse. Dawson first appeared as Claire in Daredevil Season 1, where she famously patched up Matt Murdock after his brutal encounters as Hell's Kitchen's masked vigilante. From there, the character became the connective tissue of the entire Netflix lineup, popping up across Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and of course, Iron Fist. Now, whenever we get reports like this, there are usually two questions I ask. Question number one is, what is the likelihood of this being real? And then the second question I ask is, assume that it is real for a moment. If it is real, how do I feel about it? Okay, question number one. Do I think it's real? I'm a little bit dubious about it, just a little bit dubious about it, because Spider-Man Brand New Day has finished shooting. At least all of its principal photography. It's finished shooting. And we heard nothing. Like, while we saw Mark Ruffalo and John Bernthal and a cascade of other cast, we never heard anything about Rosario Dawson, Night Nurse, Claire, whatever, being in the movie. Now, the counter to that argument is the fact that, well, John, until that Steve Rogers Avengers trailer leaked, there were no reports about Steve Rogers being in. I mean, there were rumors, of course, but there were no real big, reports saying that he was in it either. And that's a fair point. So look, Rosario Dawson is awesome. The character is great. She was the connective tissue character of the Netflix Marvel Universe. You are bringing them all over anyway. And don't forget, Rosario Dawson is very established in the Disney family. She's Ahsoka. So there's a lot to believe here. I'm just going to say I'm going to take the believability of this with a small grain of salt, just because I find it not super likely that they would have gone through the entire production and have us not hear that somebody as big as Rosario Dawson was in it. Again, there have been examples where that has happened, of course. So I'm going to put this under a maybe. I'm going to put it under a maybe. Maybe this is true. There's a possibility it could be true. All right, let's go on to the second question now. And the second question, after we get beyond do we believe it or not, which I'm saying I'm a firm maybe on it, is assuming that it's true, is it a good idea? And the answer to that is obviously it's a great idea. Of course it's a wonderful idea. I mean, why not? She is in and of herself amazing. The character is really good. Not to mention, your universe always needs, for your universe to be really fleshed out and play well, you need to have a good catalog of these characters that you can bring in to fulfill really good narrative plot points that need to happen, and then move them out. They never have to steal the show or all that kind of stuff, whatever. And she is just already connected to all the different characters in the Netflix version of that they're bringing over. It just seems it would make really good sense. And not to mention that Rosario Dawson is just awesome. She's just awesome. I have had a not so low-key celebrity crush on Rosario Dawson. Well, she was never my Hollywood crush. Okay. She was never my Hollywood crush. But when she was in Clerks 2, her character in Clerks 2 was like if scientists built in a lab the ideal perfect dream girl for every high school dude, Rosario Dawson in Clerks 2 is it. She's like the perfect woman in that. And so I've loved her since that. But of course, then she's a bunch of other things, Sin City and whatnot, but she did almost the impossible. Rosario Dawson accomplished almost the impossible to me. She made me actually start to care a little bit about and even start to like the Ahsoka Tano character, who I believe is a true waste of space in the Star Wars universe. And is just for some reason, that thing in Mean Girls where she's trying to say fetch, stop trying to make fetch a thing. I just feel like Dave Filoni just is like unhealthily obsessed with this one character and just tries to force Ahsoka on everything, everywhere, all the time. And it's always irritated me. But then Rosario Dawson started to play the character. Well, no, let me back up. I think Ahsoka in Rebels, the iteration of Ahsoka in Rebels started to warm me up to Ahsoka a little bit in Rebels. But it was when Rosario Dawson popped up in that season of The Mandalorian as Ahsoka that I went, this iteration of Ahsoka is actually kind of working for me. Like, so Rosario Dawson was able to do almost the impossible, which is actually make me care a little bit about Ahsoka. It's unfortunate that season 1 of the Ahsoka show was not very good. It wasn't hot garbage, but it wasn't very good. But whatever. I'll tune into season 2 just because Rosario Dawson is playing Ahsoka. So is this thing real? Maybe. I mean, there's some good arguments for it. There's some things that should give you some pause. But if it is real, I like it. I think it makes sense narratively. I think it serves the universe that they're doing. And I think it would serve the fan base because Rosario Dawson's awesome and it never is a bad idea to add talent. So that's kind of my take on it. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this report that Rosario Dawson's Claire, the Night Witch, is going to actually now come into the MCU and is going to make her debut in Spider-Man Brand New Day? Do you believe it? What are the good reasons to believe it? What are the reasons not to believe it? But regardless of that, just assume it's real. How would you feel about it? Jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this. At the end of every year, there's a few lists I do. My best movies of the year, my worst movies of the year, my most anticipated of the coming year. So we've already done we've already done our most anticipated, and I've already done the worst. I'm going to do the best films of the year next week, once we get closer to the end of the year. So I'll do that next week sometime. But a list I don't often do, hardly ever actually, is what are my favorite shows of the year? Now, we do talk about TV and streaming on this show, but I like to focus more on the actual movies, but still, I've never really done a list at the end of the year of my favorite shows of the year. So I thought I would do that today. I'm going to give you my 5 best shows of 2025. Now, I'll give you guys a minute to throw in some of your guesses as to what might be on my list. I see, let me see. One of you guys are saying The Penguin. Some of you guys are saying Welcome to Derry. Some of you guys are saying Pitt. Shogun wasn't 2025, my friends. Shogun wasn't 2025. So there's some of your guesses. Let me just bring up a piece. Let's see. I just want to make sure I got this one little piece of data correct before I do anything else. So, a lot of different guesses, but I'm going to give you my top 5. Now, I'm going to let you know that my top 5 are in no particular order, okay? Except for number 1. The reason number 1 is because it's number 1, but I'm also going to let you know that one, because you guys all know this is going to be my number 1 favorite. My number 1 show of 2025, obviously and easily, is Andor. Obviously and easily. Andor is the best show of the year. It was also, and I say this with firm conviction, Andor is the single greatest thing Star Wars has ever produced outside of the original trilogy. So there's the original trilogy, always and forever at the top. And after the original trilogy, after New Hope, Empire, Return of the Jedi, the next thing in line is easily, without any doubt, without any question, the best thing Star Wars has ever done in decades is Andor. And season 2 came along. And I thought, just be 75% as good as season 1. Because season 1 was remarkable. But it was unrealistic to think that they could match it in season 2. So I went into season 2 just saying, just be like 75% as good as season 1. But they did the impossible. They made it even better. With a couple of the best episodes of television I've ever seen. Like, I'm not saying they're number 1 and number 2 best episodes of all time, but there were 2 episodes in this season of Andor that would be probably in my top 20 list of the best single episodes ever in television history. That's how good I thought Andor was. It felt so good, especially coming off of crap like The Acolyte and a few other things that we've had. It was so good in Mandalorian season 3 and whatever. It was so good to come back and actually have something that was Star Wars related, that I was salivating every week, waiting to watch the next episode, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, for me, easily, no questions asked, the best show of 2025 was Andor, specifically Andor season 2. All right. These next 4 I have in no particular order. Okay. So the next one I'm going to mention isn't number 2. These are just in no particular order, but they do round out my top 5. And the next one I'm going to mention is a great redemption story, a wonderful redemption story, because the next one I'm going to mention is Dexter Resurrection. And what I mean by a fantastic redemption story is, like everybody else, I'm a big fan of the original Dexter. Okay. Everybody loves the original Dexter. It's great. But then came Dexter, stupid sun spawn off spin, shoot me in the snow. See, whatever that was called. What was the name of that next series? Dexter, Original Sin? No, not Original Sin. It was Dexter, I don't know, New Blood. That's what it was. Who was the first person that said New Blood? I think it was Ash was the first one who said New Blood. Thank you, Ash. That show sucked. Okay. That show was terrible and I hated it. I hated it so much that even when they were bringing out that prequel show, I think it was called Original Sin, which, going back to how Dexter got started, I wasn't even going to watch it. And it was only because a whole bunch of you guys told me it was good that I decided to give it a shot. And you know what? It was really solid. It was a really good show. I enjoyed it. Not as good as the original series, granted, but it at least gave me some hope for Dexter Resurrection, because we knew they were bringing it back. Dexter Resurrection. They bring it back. And guys, after watching one episode, I felt like I was watching Dexter again. Like New Blood or whatever is called, Jerk Off in the Snow, whatever, that just completely derailed. I never once felt like I was watching Dexter. Original Sin was really solid, but it felt solid like it was a show unto itself. It didn't feel like Dexter to me, but I still really enjoyed it. But one episode into Dexter Resurrection, I'm like, it's back. And every episode just got better and better and better. And Peter Dinklage, low-key MVP. I mean, it was just so good. A glorious, satisfying ending to the season. And now I cannot wait for season 2. I cannot wait. Dexter's like the best redemption story of the year so far, redeeming that original blood, whatever it was. And so Dexter is the next one on my list. All right. We got 3 more to go. The next one, I think I was anticipating it being really good, but I was not prepared for just how good it was going to be. And that's The Studio. Holy crap. I have got to get out of the doubting Seth Rogen business. Now, I normally don't at all. I doubted him with his Green Hornet movie. And, you know, it's not the popular thing, but I actually kind of like the Green Hornet movie. I did. For what it was, I thought it was fun. And then I thought the studio would be good, but I started hearing all these industry insiders saying, oh my God, this is like one of the best things ever. I'm like, okay, it's not going to be that good. And guys, listen, I have lived in Hollywood for about 15 years now. And I've had my entourage moments and I've traveled in certain circles. And I just cannot believe how accurate, in a exaggerated way, but nonetheless, how accurate and how I have heard the exact conversations in this show in real life. It is uncanny, but listen, just being like real Hollywood doesn't make the show good. The show's not good, especially as a comedy, unless it's hilarious. And this show is freaking hilarious, man. I would just almost laugh myself sick almost every single episode. I loved it. It was an amazing kind of meta experience watching it. I expected to enjoy it. I didn't think I would love it this much. So the studio, I should say, is on my top 5 list of best shows of the year. All right. Next one up. A show that I honestly thought was a bad idea. And I remember saying, maybe even on my own show a year and a half ago or something, is like, who cares about this? Who cares about a prequel to It? And you know what? Oh my God. First of all, the very first episode of Welcome to Derry comes out. I'm like, all right, I'll give this a shot. Let's give it a shot. And in the very first episode, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell are they doing? How can they put this on television? If you've seen the show, you know what I'm talking about. They just did some of the most bat crap, crazy, gory, horrific, horrifying, nightmare-inducing things in the first episode that just kind of set the stage. And it never let up. It gave us great character development. It built out the mythology well. And I was like one of those guys that thought, we don't need to know about Pennywise. We don't need to know Pennywise's background. It's kind of like the Force and midichlorians. Just leave it alone. We don't need to know about midichlorians. It's the Force. And I kind of thought that about Pennywise. But what they did in this show was amazing, because they actually made Pennywise an even better character. They made him a more interesting character. Instead of ruining the mystique of the character by going into his background, they enhanced the character by going into its background. And they well expanded the mythology. And again, none of that would matter if it wasn't still a good story. And they made a really good story. I love the kids in it were great. Richie dying is like one of the, oh my God kind of things. It's a fabulous show, and it ended strong. And man, it won me over. Welcome to Derry is one of my top 5 favorite shows of the year. All right. That leaves one more. And I don't think it's going to surprise any of you. The next one, remember, except for number 1, which is Andor, none of these are in any particular order. This one won't surprise any of you, but it's a show was coming out that was in maybe the most tired, overdone genre of show, the medical drama. How many shows do we have to have that are based in a hospital? We've got a million of them. There are some really good ones, but for the most part, they're generally the same. Some are better than the others. But guys, I tuned in to watch The Pit because I heard so many people talking about it. And it came out in January. So this is like almost a full year ago it came out. It came out in January. We got season 2 about to come out. I don't know that I don't know that there's ever been a better medical drama. Like, a lot of people draw comparisons to ER, and that's fair. But frankly, I thought just one season in, this thing blew ER out of the water. I think it blows every medical drama I've ever seen out of the water. This show is amazing, and I could not stop watching it. And I was a little put off at first when we realized they were doing it like the 24 style, where the whole show is literally in real time. Episode 1 is hour 1. Episode 2 is hour 2. Episode 3 is hour 3 of this one day in the life of this emergency room in Pittsburgh. And I was just floored, guys. I was just floored. I saw somebody say, how do you not have Penguin on your list? Because Penguin came out in 2024. But anyway, yeah, I was just absolutely floored by The Pitt. I cannot believe how excited I am to watch the next season. Again, all these are in no particular order, granted, but maybe if they were in order, I'm not saying this for sure, but maybe if they were in order, I might have Pitt as number 2. It was just that good. I couldn't believe it. And I'm not somebody who normally likes medical dramas, but there you have it. So once again, guys, my top 5 shows of the year at number 1, Andor, and then the next 4 in no particular order: Dexter Resurrection, The Studio, Welcome to Derry, and The Pitt. And if you watched no other shows this year except those 5, I think you would have a very good time watching television this year. So there you have it, guys. My top 5 shows of the year. Question is for you. What were your 5 favorite shows of the year? Whatever they are, whether the same as mine, different than mine, go ahead and jump down into the comment section below and leave your thoughts there. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? We're going to play ourselves a solo game of Overreaction. A little bit earlier today, I jumped on the YouTube channel and I asked you guys if you have any hot takes for me to tell you if your hot take is an overreaction or not. We picked out a couple to use and we got them here. So let's go through them and I'll tell you if these are overreactions or not. And our first hot take comes to us from Kari Scott, who writes, Stranger Things will go down as one of the best series ever made. Stranger Things will go down as one of the best series ever made. I'm going to call that an overreaction. But John, you like Stranger Things. I do. And I'm excited about reviewing and talking about Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2 in just a few minutes. I really liked it. I even liked that season that nobody else liked when Elle ran away and she met up with all the other kids and stuff like that. I really like that season too. I like all the seasons. But to say it's going to go down as one of the best series ever made, no. I mean, it's good. It's solid, had major pop cultural impact, a memorable show, certainly one of the most successful that Netflix has ever had. It's a really good show. But I think that's where it starts and stops. It's a really good show. I don't think it's one of the all-time greats. I don't think it's in the top 20. Yeah, look, maybe you could argue me on top 20, top 30. But again, for me, a very good show that is very enjoyable to watch, and it's definitely a big hit for them. But I don't think 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I don't think anybody's going to be talking about Stranger Things the same way we talk about The Wire, or the same way we talk about The Sopranos, or the same way we talk about, some of the truly greatest shows ever made. I don't think that we're going to see Stranger Things in that list. So I'm going to call that an overreaction. All right, let's get on to the next one. The next overreaction hot take comes to us from Tommy Wiseau, who writes, Doomsday will make $1.75 billion or more, seeing as Deadpool and Wolverine made $1.3 to $1.4 billion while being R-rated. Okay, Doomsday will make $1.75 billion or more because Deadpool made $1.3 to $1.4. I'm going to call this an overreaction. Now, could Doomsday hit $1.75 billion? It could. By the way, I'm going to tell you guys something I absolutely should not tell you. I shouldn't tell you this, but I'm going to tell you this. Do you know how sometimes people send me stuff that maybe they shouldn't be sending me? I may have been contacted by someone I know in London who gave me the full rundown on Avengers Doomsday. I know the whole story. I know the whole thing. Start to finish, I know the whole thing. Now, I am not going to do a thing where I'm going to tell you anything that happens in it, but I'll tell you this much. I loved it. Loved it. That being said, let's get back to the real question. Can Avengers Doomsday make 1.75 billion considering the fact that Deadpool made 1.3 to 1.4? Here's the thing. You're cherry picking out Deadpool. Thunderbolts didn't make $400 million. Fantastic Four, I think, did make 500 million. I can't remember. Made about 500 million. Falcon and the Winter Soldier couldn't make 500 million. I mean, yeah, there was Deadpool and Wolverine, and that I love that movie. That movie's amazing. And it did 1.3 to 1.4 billion. But you can't just cherry pick out one successful one and ignore all the other ones that kind of underperformed. Now, granted, some of them were bad, and some of them, like Thunderbolts, were great. And I really like Fantastic Four. I really liked it. I don't think it's as good as Thunderbolts, but I really liked it. That being said, though, you can't just say, well, it will, because at the same time, you could say Avengers Doomsday will make only 800 million, considering the fact that neither Fantastic Four or Thunderbolts were able to make, 550 million. So you can't just cherry pick them out. Again, do I think it's possible that Avengers Doomsday can make 1.75 or more? It is possible. It's an Avengers movie. But unlike the other Avengers films that had huge success leading into them, this one doesn't have that. And the other Avengers movies, there's like 15 to 20% fewer people going to the movies today than there used to be. So is it possible? Yes, but I'm going to call your statement, for now, I'm going to call your statement an overreaction. All right. Next one up. We get our next one here from Victor Garrity, who writes, a Clayface success would mean more than a Supergirl success for Gunn and Safran at DC. A Clayface success would mean more than a Supergirl success for Gunn and Safran at DC. You know what? I think that's very astute. I'm going to say that's not an overreaction. Now, don't get me wrong. They want Supergirl to succeed, and it will be very meaningful if Supergirl does succeed. But if Clayface succeeds, that would be a huge hurdle that they would cross. Because yes, look, you're running into this brand new cinematic universe. And of course, you got your big traditional heavy hitters. You got Superman and Batman, and maybe even an argument, you can say Supergirl, and you got others coming. We got Wonder Woman coming. Okay. But can you expand your success beyond that and make the DCU bigger and hit with some of the non-all-star characters? Because I'll tell you what, the moment to me that the Marvel Cinematic Universe went from just being a really successful run for a franchise to becoming next level, this is going to be an all-time juggernaut, was when Guardians of the Galaxy came out. Because what did we had? Well, we had Avengers, and we had Iron Man, and we had Thor and Captain America, but it was when they took this obscure group of characters that most average fans had never even heard of, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they were able to turn that into a $700-800 million success. I can't remember the exact number it got, but it was a smash hit. That was the moment that you went, okay, the MCU is going to be really special, because it's not just these core 3 or 4 characters that are going to do well. They can do well with almost any of their characters. So if Clayface and Supergirl both come out this this coming year, and they're both really successful, it will be much more, the Clayface success, I think, will be much more meaningful. To take a B level, all due respect to fans of Clayface, but Clayface is at best a B level Batman villain. He ain't the Joker. He ain't Penguin. He ain't Riddler. He ain't Catwoman. On and on and on. He's a B-list Batman villain. If they can do a standalone movie about a B-list Batman villain and make that compelling and people like it and maybe even makes a few bucks, I think that would be a much better indicator, a much bigger indicator to James Gunn, Peter Safran, and DC that they might have some real success ahead. So anyway, I'm going to say it is not an overreaction. All right, let's move on to our next one here. And our next one also gets sent in by Victor Garrity, who wrote, with the meh reception of Avatar 3, if it doesn't hit $1 billion, it will diminish the legacy of James Cameron. If Avatar 3 doesn't hit $1 billion, it will diminish the legacy of James Cameron. I'm going to call this easily the most ridiculous overreaction of the day. If James Gunn if James Cameron, Jimmy C, good Canadian kid, if this movie doesn't make $1 billion, it will hurt his legacy. All right, let me ask you this. Do you think, I don't know, Martin Scorsese has a pretty good legacy? You think he does? How many billion-dollar films does he have? Oh, none. None billion-dollar films. But I would make a very strong argument. He has a very good, very strong, and very secure legacy. Listen, Michael Jordan, there are those who consider Michael Jordan to be the greatest basketball player of all time. That's arguable, but there are many people who consider Michael Jordan to be the greatest basketball player of all time. Okay. Do you think if there was a clutch game, a really important clutch game, and it was close and Michael Jordan put up a shot and he missed the game-winning shot and they lose, do you think that hurts his legacy? Because I got news for you. According to statistics, Michael Jordan missed over 50 potentially game-winning shots. Over 50. Has that hurt his legacy? And listen, let's say for argument's sake, because I think Avatar 3 right now is sitting at about $500 million. All right? Without even taking its second weekend into account yet, it's sitting already at about $500 million. Let's say it doesn't make another dollar. Let's say Avatar 3 doesn't even make another dollar. By the way, I liked Avatar 3. It's my least favorite of the Avatar movies, granted, but I still thought it was quite entertaining. That aside, let's say it doesn't make another dollar and it completely hits a wall at 500 million. Okay. We are still living in a world where 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 of the 4 highest grossing movies in the history of Hollywood are done by one guy, James Cameron. Avatar, the highest grossing film of all time. Avatar, The Way of Water, the 3rd highest grossing film of all time. Titanic, the 4th highest grossing film of all time. 3 of the top 4. If Avatar 3 does not make a single another dime, we still live in a world where 3 of the top 4 movies in history are all done by one guy. Not to mention the films that weren't billion-dollar films of his. I mean, you just go, take out those 3. James Cameron still got a great filmography. But, so yeah, if Avatar 3 stalls at 500 million, and it won't, but if it fails to make $1 billion, let's say it failed to make 500 million, James Cameron's legacy is cemented already. There's nothing that can happen. Literally, SpongeBob SquarePants could have made more money than Avatar 3, and it would not have affected James Cameron's legacy. One guy, 3 of the top 4 films in history. That's now bulletproof. That legacy is absolute bulletproof. And if he makes Avatar 4 and Avatar 5 and Avatar 6 and Avatar 7 and none of them make as much money as Kraven the Hunter, James Cameron's legacy is still 100% solid, immutable and untouchable. Nothing's going to change that. Nothing's going to change that. So, and it's funny that he's so successful that you're even asking the question that if one of his movies dares not make $1 billion, it might hurt his legacy. So I got to say, no, that's a big overreaction and is probably the overreaction of the day on that one. Anyway, but thanks for writing it in, man. I appreciate it. All right, let's move on to our last hot take here for overreaction. And our final one today got sent in by Chris Moon, who writes, Sydney Sweeney can't be a lead in movies anymore, with her 2025 films being an example of that. All right, Sydney Sweeney can't be a leading lady in Hollywood after the 2025 year that she's had. Well, I understand why you're asking the question, because her movies have all disappointed. Like, some straight up legendarily flopped. And, you know, The Housemaid, we'll see. The jury's out on Housemaid, but, it's not opening huge, right? Then, of course, there was the Chrissy movie she did that completely flopped and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, she's had like 3 movies this year. All of them did badly. All of them did badly. But I'm going to still say that's an overreaction. And the reason I'm going to say it's an overreaction is this. I would propose that the movies Sydney Sweeney did this year, that your statement that the box office result of those movies means she can't lead a movie, your statement makes an assumption that if another actress had been in those roles, those movies would have done well. And I got to say, when I look at the movies she did this year, I don't think regardless of who you put in those movies, any of them were going to be particularly big. And if you agree with me that had you put Alison Brie, who's great, I love Alison Brie. If you agree with me that if you had swapped out Sydney Sweeney with, like, say, Alison Brie, that means it would have done double the box office. If you agree with me that that wouldn't have happened, then you acknowledge that the problem with the box offices of those movies wasn't Sydney Sweeney herself. She wasn't the problem. She wasn't the cause of the box office harm. I submit that if you put almost any actress in any of those particular projects the way they were, I don't think any of them would have done much better. So it's not really her responsibility or her fault. Now, that being said, being honest, so far, I don't think Sydney Sweeney is a particularly strong actress. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't put her in the same category as Gal Gadot. Like, she's got some talent. Sydney Sweeney has some talent, and I think she could develop. I think she could develop that talent. I think she can get better. I think she will get better. Again, I'm not particularly impressed with her acting right now, but I see in her that, okay, if she worked on this and if she got a little bit better at this, she could be quite good. And so, listen, I just think her days as a leading lady are not over yet. I don't think they're over yet. Let's see how it goes. I mean, maybe not. Maybe she doesn't turn into anything, but I don't think 2025's box offices of her movies prove she can't be a leading lady, because I don't think any of them necessarily would have done much better with anybody else. And all right, guys, that wraps up today's little session of Overreaction. Thank you to everybody who sent in all those questions you saw flash before your eyes. I appreciate it very much. Keep your guys' eyes open next week when we are doing the show again. And when we put out a call for your hot takes, because maybe you'll see your hot take on a session of Overreaction. All right, guys. That down. Let's get on to the main thing here, shall we? Last night, or 2 nights ago, last night or 2 nights ago. Yeah, yesterday. Netflix dropped the next 3 episodes of the final season of Stranger Things Season 5, also known as Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 2. Stranger Things Season 5 Volume 2, the next batch of 3 episodes. And this is a non-spoiler discussion. So I'm not going to go into a lot of detail. If you don't, I will go into a few little things, general things. If you don't want to know the slightest thing about what happened, maybe tune out for now and come back later. But I'm going to mostly go without much spoilers here. To give some context, I like Stranger Things. I do. I'm not the biggest fan in the world of it, like a lot of other people are. But I like Stranger Things. I've always liked the show. I think it's quite good. And I've always enjoyed it. And again, like we talked a little bit earlier in the show today, it's never going to be, I don't think, ever considered one of the greatest shows of all time, but I enjoy it. I like it. I'm not one of the hardest of hardcore fans, but I like it. We watched the first group of episodes that dropped, and I was really impressed by the first bunch of episodes, mostly because of the pacing. The pacing's fantastic. Like you take a show like Pluribus, and the show dies for me because it's awful, 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 agonizingly non-existent pace. I just can't stand it. Even though the premise of the show is fantastic, the acting's great, all that kind of stuff. If Pluribus was a 2 hour and 10-minute movie, I think it would have been awesome. But anyway, that aside, the pacing of Volume 1 of Stranger Things Season 5 was fantastic. And I loved all the stuff. And the big climax with Will at the end of Volume 1, I thought was awesome. I loved it. I thought it was great. So that was great. So we go into Volume 2 now. Where do they pick this up? Where do they go? And I got to tell you guys, I'm reading a lot of you guys in the live chat saying, oh, you're disappointed in Season 5, all kind of stuff. That's great. I disagree. I thought it was really good. I got to tell you, man, I watched the next 3 episodes. I watched Volume 2 and I thought it was really good. And the whole stuff with, at first I didn't really know, do we want to focus so much on, the one little sister, Holly? Do we really want to focus so much on Holly? Holly's become a great character. That little girl has become a great character, like a really good character. And I like her character a lot, especially juxtaposed against, what's Sadie Sink's character's name again? Max. Holly and Max juxtaposed against each other. I thought was fantastic chemistry. I loved that dynamic between those two characters. I thought it was great because the dynamic Max has with Holly, I thought made Max an even better character. I thought it made Max an even better character. And the whole thing, we found out in Volume 1 when Elle re-finds her sister. I thought she's been great. I think the whole Vecna stuff, I love what they're doing now with the in-between, the Upside Down. I think the new thing of here's the great thing about the Upside Down and what they did in the Upside Down. Because you guys saw, even if you haven't seen the episodes, you saw in the trailer, you saw him go, everything we thought about the Upside Down was completely wrong, right? Well, here's the thing. A lot of times when shows try to throw a curveball like that, even when they do a good job, it sets up conflicts that the new twist has with stuff that came before, like it doesn't match up. But what they said about the Upside Down in these new episodes actually makes total sense with everything that came before. Like nothing that came before in Stranger Things about the Upside Down is at all in conflict. It's like, oh yeah, that actually does work. That really, really works. So I thought that was great. I think the stuff with Elle is fantastic. I love everything with Hopper, I think is great. Hop, I should say. I thought, I really like the way that they've broken the cast into groups and they each have their own sub adventures going on that all tie in together later on. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. Like I'm seeing a whole bunch of people saying, oh man, I don't know what the fuck you're watching. It's all subjective. If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for you. That's totally fair. But I mean, I don't get it because I watched those episodes last night. I stayed up to watch them. And because I had to stay up late because we had friends and family over and we didn't watch Stranger Things, and I didn't cuddle up to watch Stranger Things till everybody left. But I thought it was really good. I thought it was really solid. The dialogue was great. Their mythology building was good. The character development has been really nice. I like that. You know, if you're going to have this thing happening, your core group of characters has to expand. It has to. And I thought they've done a really good job of expanding it. Like even, I forget Ethan Hawke's daughter's name, whatever her name is. But even like her redhead nurse girlfriend, like even she's bringing a nice dynamic to it. Holly, as I already kind of mentioned, the Holly character, the little sister, she's brought a really nice dynamic to it. The whole going into what ultimately is Vecna's actual ultimate plan. I really like it, and it's consistent and makes sense with the rest of the show. So listen, it's all subjective. There are many things you guys really love, like Pluribus, that just don't work for me. It's all subjective, right? It hit you in a certain way, but it hit me in a different way, and that's fair. And there's going to be some of you guys that Stranger Things this season is not hitting them. But I got to tell you, as somebody who's not even the biggest Stranger Things fan, I mean, so far to me, we still got to do the finale, right? We still got to do the finale. I just got to tell you, for me, this thing is ending on a high note. This Stranger Things thing is ending on a high note. The pacing of it. Oh my God. The pacing of it is so great. The pacing is great. And yeah, I think it's wonderful. And now I want to see going into the finale. And if they don't do this, it doesn't ruin it. I'm saying what I really want to see now, I want to see Will and Elle and Elle's sister like battling Vecna. And I want to see some like shenanigans, man. I want to see some absolute shenanigans. I just really like this show, and I thought Volume 2 was great. But listen, question is, what are we expecting in the finale? I won't go into it too much here about what I'm expecting and hoping in the finale, because I know a lot of you guys haven't watched the latest group of episodes yet. But whatever you guys thought of Volume 2, I really liked it, but maybe you didn't. That's totally fair. But whatever you guys thought of it, jump down to the comments section below and let me know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that all down, it's time for us to go into the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. So we're going to do that right now. Now, I'm going to let you guys know that we've already got a whole bunch of questions sent in. A whole bunch of super chats came in. So I'm going to turn off super chats in about a minute. So give me about a minute and I'm going to turn them off. So if you do have a super chat you want to send in, do it really quickly, because then I'm going to turn these super chats off. All right, let's get things started here, shall we? We're going to start off with, where are we? Oh, there it is. Nerdy Beard Man writes, with Secret Wars coming, is Marvel better off to do a soft reboot, or is the universe better served with a hard reset with all the heroes available now? Honestly, it's an answer I can't give right now because I don't know how Secret Wars ends. Like we're not in a position that we can even remotely say that what is best for Marvel to do after Secret Wars when we don't have a clear picture of what Secret Wars is going to do, right? Because if Secret Wars ends one way, then the best thing to do is a hard reset and totally start fresh, brand new Marvel Cinematic Universe. But if Secret Wars ends in another way, maybe just like kind of soft reboot, reset a couple of things, but for the most part, keep it going. But until like we haven't even gotten to Spider-Man Brand New Day or Avengers Doomsday, let alone Avengers Secret Wars. We really got to see Secret Wars before we have that idea. So my guess is it's going to just continue on with some soft rebooting elements. That's my guess right now. But until we see Secret Wars, it's really hard to say. All right. Good question though, man. Next up, Christopher Diaz writes, How was the new Anaconda movie? Didn't go to see it. Our plan was to go on Christmas Eve. That was our plan. And the plan was to have all of our friends and family come over on Christmas Day. But plans changed. We actually ended up having a bunch of family come over on Christmas Eve. So Ann and I stayed home with family on Christmas Eve. And we ended up watching a very Jonas Christmas movie, the Jonas Brothers Christmas movie, which I am surprisingly, over the past couple of years, I say this without irony and with full confidence and no shame. I've become a Jonas Brothers fan. I think they actually make really good music. I do. But that being said, A Very Jonas Christmas was a very ass watching experience. It's horrible. It's absolutely terrible. Yeah, it was really bad, but my wife loved it. So, that's the important thing. But anyway, so we didn't go to see Christmas Eve, and obviously we had friends and family over yesterday. So I have not seen Anaconda yet. I haven't had the chance, but I will this weekend sometime. I'm definitely going to go see Anaconda. All right. Benji Gator writes, John, I believe you mentioned before that you and Ann played Cyberpunk 2077. If so, what was your thoughts, and would a live adaptation excite you? A live adaptation would be interesting. Now, I have not played Cyberpunk 2077. Ann is playing it. And I've sat and watched her play a bunch. And listen, the underlying story is really interesting. It would be a very expensive movie to make. So I don't know that you could ever actually make it. But if they ever did decide to make one, I'd be down for it. I'd watch it. All right, next up. David B. sends in a $28 super chat. David B., thank you so much, man, for supporting our channel on that level. And David B. writes, can we all agree that the movies Night of the Comet and Army of Darkness are some of the greatest B-movie cult classic movies of all time? Well, that's a subjective statement, but I'm going to allow it. I mean, even just based on Army of Darkness, I mean, give me some sugar, baby. I mean, I don't really know anybody that would debate making the statement Army of Darkness is one of the greatest B cult classic movies of all time. I think even people I know who may not like the movie would probably acknowledge that. So I don't think you're going to get a much pushback. Here's the thing, though, about when a new movie comes out and people say it'll be a cult classic. 99% of the time they don't. But something becoming a cult classic is something you don't really know until about 5 years later, right? But anyway, Army of Darkness, Night of the Comet. Yeah, I don't think you're treading on thin ice there by suggesting those are, in your words, amongst the greatest B-level cult classics. I think that's a pretty safe bet. Anyway, David, thank you again for writing that in, and thank you for supporting us on that level, my friend. Appreciate that, dude. All right, Espinoza writes, the final Sunday night football game is usually reserved for the game with the biggest playoff implications. Which game do you think will be the final Sunday night game of the season next week? I don't know. I don't know the schedule. I never know the schedule. It's usually about a day or two before Sunday that I look up the actual schedule of the games, even though I follow the NFL a lot. So I absolutely have no idea. I mean, Buffalo is still in pursuit of trying to leapfrog back over Seattle. So whatever game Seattle and Buffalo are playing in, that's going to be significant. The Steelers need to win. I think, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think they're still in the playoff hunt. I don't know. So there's a bunch of games that are going to have playoff implications, but I don't know the schedule. So you needed to give me some options because I don't know what the schedule is. Anyway, next up, thanks for writing in, Espinoza. Screenspeak writes, why was animation very lazy this year? Sorry, let's try this. Why was animation very lazy this year of 2025? 2026 is stacked for animation. Just boggles my mind. I don't know what you mean by saying lazy. What do you mean animation was lazy this year? Are you saying that in the sense that there wasn't a lot of animation? Are you saying that in terms of, because, right now the biggest film of the year is Zootopia 2. That's animated. One of the other biggest films of the year was Moana 2. Was that 2025? I can't remember what year Moana 2 came out. I think it was this year. Anyway. And then you had like some of these foreign anime films that came and played in North American theater. So I don't really know what you like. You say, why was it a lazy year? I would purport to you that it wasn't a lazy year for animation at all. Anyway, but again, without really knowing what you mean by that, I can't really give you an accurate answer. Sorry about that, screen speak. All right, next up. Trey Brown sends in a $20 super chat. Thank you, Trey Brown, for supporting us on that level, man. And Trey writes, got the Thor trailer and Odyssey preview. Both were the highlight of the night, but Avatar was a good way to spend Christmas with the fam. Didn't see the second film in theaters, and I won't miss the next one. P.S. I hate Spider's dialogue. I actually like Spider. But yeah, listen, it's so funny because, one of the guys in our extended family, you guys see pictures of him on my social media, our friend Ryan. He's the one that everybody always thinks looks like Ben Affleck. But he and I were in the car the other day. He said, yeah, so my dad went to go see Avatar 3. And he said, I walked out before it even finished. I think he got close to the end, but he said, I walked out. I didn't understand a single thing was going on. They did a terrible job. Like, what's with all these tribes and blah, blah, blah. And he said a bunch of things to his son, to my buddy Ryan. And then Ryan started going, wait a minute, what do you mean? So Ryan stopped him and said, wait a minute. Dad, did you see Avatar: The Way of Water? And he's like, what's that? So his dad didn't even know there was a second film. Like, his dad saw the original Avatar and then went into Avatar 3 and understandably was a little bit lost. And that happens. I have not seen the Thor trailer on the big screen yet, so that would be fun to do. It's going to be really interesting to see how big Avatar's weekend is. Because like I said, it's right around the $500 million mark right now. It's going to be interesting to see if it can get to like 600 or 700 million by the end of the weekend. Because a lot of people were counting on Avatar to do really good business over the Christmas weekend. So we'll see how big it'll actually end up being. All right. Thanks for sending that in, man. All right. Next up. Nathan Cormier writes, just saw Song Sung Blue, wonderful movie. That is one I'm going to try to watch on Sunday. I think we have plans to watch it on Sunday. It looks really good to me. I mean, it's Hugh Jackman. What else do you want? I'm hoping it's good. Thanks for the recommendation on that. Big Mouth Stan writes, to me, Holly Wheeler has given the best performance. Oh, you mean the character Holly in Stranger Things season 5? It's been really good. Like I said, this little character I was like, do we need the little sister? She's actually turned out to be a really good character in this show. So I really like her, if that's who we're talking about. All right. Jamie writes, John, I saw your social media post after the Game Awards about Expedition 33. Story Kitchen, the team behind the Sonic movies, owns the rights to the movie. Who do you cast and how do you end it? I don't do X actor and X role things, just cast great actors. That's all. That's all I care about. I haven't played the game yet, though. I bought it. Like as soon as the Game Awards were over, I bought Expedition 33. I've got it all ready to go, but I got to get through Dispatch first because I also bought Dispatch and I haven't started playing that yet. So I got to do Dispatch first, and then I got to do Expedition 33. So I wouldn't have anything good. But even if I had played the game, my answer is, X actor and X role. It's just put good actors in roles. That's all I can ask for. As long as when they announce casting of stuff, if the actors they announce are really good actors, I'm always satisfied. So, but again, I can't get much more detailed than that because while I bought the game following the Game Awards, because it won all the awards, I haven't had a chance to start playing it yet. All right. Thanks for that, Jamie. Next up, Vincent writes, did you guys see the phenomenon online around the character of Rich Santos from Welcome to Derry? It's crazy, and I live for that. His comeback was the best TV moment of 2025. Episodes 7 and 8 are truly special. I haven't seen any of the memes you're talking about. Well, I did see one. That plays this wild, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but it plays this wild music as all the other kids are pushing down on the thing. without giving too much away. And then you see Richie running in to help. And that was hilarious to me, but I haven't seen any of the other one. I didn't know it blew up online or became a big online meme thing. But again, if you had told me 6 months ago that Welcome to Derry was going to end up being one of my top 5 favorite shows of the year, I would have thought you were crazy. But it so pleasantly surprised me. I ended up loving it. And again, as I said, it's on my top 5 favorite shows of the year. All right. Thanks, Vincent. Nico writes, Overreaction. The Stranger Things finale will end with it all being a big type of dream that they all played their perfect D&D campaign. Don't laugh. I actually had a conversation about that very thing. With a couple of friends of mine, maybe a couple of months ago, that what if when Stranger Things all ends, it was just all a campaign? It was just all a campaign that they played out and rolled the dice and all that kind of stuff. And I even heard one person theorize that the Duffer Brothers and Sean Levy always knew that the ending of Stranger Things was going to be that it was all one big campaign. And that in season 1, when all the kids were still young, they actually filmed the ending of Stranger Things season 5, which is them as little children still, as you know, as Vecna gets defeated and the thing, then it fades back to the basement, to Mike's basement, and they're all there with their dice. So you vanquished Vecna and blah, blah, and it's all one big thing. Now, I don't believe that's what they're doing. That's a theory that's been around for a bit, and I don't think that's what they're doing. But no, I think you would see universal outrage if they said this whole show, 5 seasons, 10 years, was just in their imagination. I think that would piss a lot of people off, and I don't think that's what they're going to do. So we'll see. All right. Next up, Green Best Tord writes, do we think Doom has a Morgan, Tony's kid? Last trailer is Doom and his daughter, but in the same vein as Cap and Thor's, Doom believes he is the hero. Again, I have to be careful because now I know all of Avengers Doomsday. I gotta be careful what I say. I'll just say this. I think it's fair to say this, whatever, because you're just throwing out a theory. I think it's fair to say no. And I can't elaborate any more than that. I will just say no. So there's that, Green Bastard. I wish I could go into it more, but I can't. All right, Ian McAllister writes, one of two. Doomsday and Spider-Man 4 were filming in the UK at the same time, Glasgow and London. And for the first 1 to 2 weeks of filming, they opened up the sets of Spider-Man to be filmed by tons of fans. Is it possible that Marvel opened the floodgates for Brand New Day to keep eyes off secret actors filming scenes for Doomsday? Paparazzi will take the path of least resistance. Actually, well, you know what? I think they shot them at around the same time for logistical reasons. Yeah, it just made sense to do it. But could that have been one of the bonus motives? Yes. Because there are people in Avengers Doomsday that you are not anticipating. There are people in Avengers Doomsday that I was not anticipating. That's not a surprise. You could have said that about any Avengers movie or any Marvel movie. There are going to be people in it that you're not. So that's not really saying much. I mean, obviously, I think we are all anticipating that there are going to be characters that we weren't expecting. But yeah, that might have been one of the things that, open it up for people to come in and shoot, and that keeps eyes off the other set. That might be it. All right. Next up, Silent Ghost writes, now that you've seen Fire and Ash, is Avatar top 5 trilogy? Also, what do you think Netflix will do with WB Games? Well, one question at a time. No. Now listen, I say that as somebody who I enjoyed Avatar Fire and Ash. I did. I like it. It's my least favorite of the 3, but I still had a good time. Is Avatar trilogy now in the top 5 trilogies of all time? No. It's good. It's good. There are many good trilogies that don't make the top 5, but it absolutely, obviously there's the Star Wars trilogy. Nothing beats that. Your Lord of the Rings trilogy, so it doesn't beat that. The Godfather trilogy, not going to beat that. The Toy Story original trilogy, not going to beat that. Hell, I'd put Paddington, but I say that with all due respect because Paddington is awesome. I put Paddington ahead of it. And there are a few others as well. The Captain America trilogy, the Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy. Look, overall, the Avatar trilogy is really good. And I really enjoyed Fire and Ash. But no, I don't think it belongs in the top 5 best trilogies of all time. Good, entertaining, totally worthwhile, but not in the top 5. All right. Next up, Galaxis writes, John, thank you for all your hard work. My question is, I'm not going to talk about Nizza because it's a big lie. Anyway, we'll move on. Anthony C writes, does it impacted your excitement to know all about Doomsday? Cameos, I don't care knowing, but the entirety of the story would damper my excitement. Here's the thing. I don't know if I'm just a little bit different or if people overestimate this. I have gone into movies before where I already knew everything about it. And it hasn't affected my enjoyment of it one little bit. Not one little bit. I would definitely say, now that I know everything about Avengers Doomsday, I can say that I am actually far more excited for this movie than I was before I knew everything that happened in it. I can just honestly tell you that I am now, my anticipation and my excitement to watch this movie is significantly higher now. It has not taken away any of my excitement for it. I'm actually more excited now than I was before. Now, that being said, there is always a valley between a concept of a movie or a script of a movie or whatever, and then actually making it and how it turns out. I've given you guys the example before that back in the movie blog days, somebody sent me the actual script for Clash of the Titans, the one that Liam Neeson ended up being in. And the script read great. The script to me was really good. I loved the script. But then I saw the movie, and the movie, while it was definitely the movie to that script, and definitely that's the script and that's the movie, it just didn't turn out the way it did in my head. And it actually wasn't very good, even though I love the script. So I know all these things about Avengers Doomsday, and it makes me even more excited, but it could turn out badly, right? I'm not saying that the movie's going to be good, but all I will say is that in answer to your question, has it affected my excitement? Sure, it's affected my excitement. It's actually made me more excited. So, but that's just me. Okay. Next up, Glasses following up with this Nizza question. Said, you held the opinion that Nizza's reported box office is questionable, but given the rapid success of Zootopia 2 with its shared aesthetics, animation, and targeted demographics, by the way, it was like a $20 super chat. Thank you, Galactus. Does this give some credence to soften that opinion? No. Listen, every single country in the world, look, I'm not going to get into an argument with anybody. If you want to believe the Nizza numbers, you are free to. I'm not going to try to change your mind. I'm not going to try to, but here's the thing. When you understand how box office numbers are reported, understanding how Rentrax works and all that kind of stuff, there is only one country, only one. There might be a second one, but I think it's just China. Anyway, there's only one country that does not have its reported data third-party vetted before being reported, and that's China. So you have to forgive me if a Chinese-made movie gets report that doesn't actually do all that great anywhere else in the world, made like X amount of money but that box office data is never vetted by third-party auditors. Every other one does. Every other movie market does. And so the difference between that and Zootopia 2 is that China's got no reason to fluff or buff the numbers of Zootopia 2. It's a foreign film. They don't care. I don't bring into question China's box office reporting when it comes to foreign films because they have no ulterior motives. They have nothing to gain. There's no reason for them. I mean, maybe they're off, but I don't really call it into question that. Maybe I should, but I'm just saying, honestly, I don't. It's a foreign film. But I'm sorry, I've seen many, many real reasons why you need to call into question China's box office reporting of Chinese produced movies. Again, I'm not saying that's a fact. I'm saying that for me personally, when I look at the circumstances, now it might have been another thing if like Ne Zha 2 went on to make $1.5 billion around the rest of the world. Well, then that leaves some credence. But the fact that it barely did anything anywhere else, and the fact that it did this and it's just, oh, this is the biggest movie of the year. Sorry, I don't buy it. To me, it's not credible. Again, I'm only speaking for myself. That is just my personal opinion. But that's why I don't give any credence, any legitimacy to Ne Zha 2's box office reporting. I give no validation to it whatsoever. Now, again, I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not trying to say you're wrong if you think it's all legit. Not at all. I'm not trying to get into an argument, but you're asking me the question, so I'm giving you the answer, and that's my answer. All right. Next up, Red Boy 2. And again, thank you, Galactus, for sending in the question and for supporting our channel at that level, man. That was really nice of you, dude. All right. Red Boy 27 writes, hey, John, happy holiday. For me, Sinners is the best film of the year. Mine too so far. Ryan Coogler is top 3 best directors of today easily. I don't know easily, but I think he's in the conversation. You know, the other day we talked on the show about the winners and losers of 2025. Who are our top 5 winners? Who are our top 5 losers? And I put Ryan Coogler as one of the top 5 winners because I think it cements him coming out with a purely original, very different film, really cements, and he's going to get nominated for Best Director. Hell, he might even win Best Director. Really cements that he's not just Black Panther guy, right? Because it's still crazy how many people have not seen Fruitvale Station or stuff like that. And I think it just really cements him. So I don't know if I'd say he's definitely top 3. The top 2 today, like today, as of this moment, are Christopher Nolan and Denis Villeneuve. I think that's undisputed. Does Ryan get into that third spot? I wouldn't say definitely, but I think he's in the conversation. I just think he's that good. I think he's absolutely in the conversation. All right. Lone Wolf writes, Derek hitting Vecna with your mom had me dying. Listen, I'll tell you what. I love that kid. I totally love that kid. I thought it would be a one joke punchline kid that then, disappears, whatever. But I really like that kid. And I'm going to agree with you. That line got me. I thought it was really good. Let's see. Oh, we already did that one. Pat Dumas writes, John, what is your favorite Christmas movie and non-traditional Christmas movie? Well, I don't make a distinction. Shockingly, my favorite Christmas, and I'm not joking around. My favorite Christmas movie is the Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas special. And it's weird because as somebody who loves the Guardians of the Galaxy, I was very vocal on my show about what a stupid idea it was to do some stupid little Christmas special on Disney Plus. I was very vocal about how dumb I thought that idea was, what a waste of time it was, what a waste of resources and energy and effort and manpower and all that kind of stuff. I thought it was the dumbest idea. And then I watched it. And from day one that I watched it, it became my favorite Christmas special, my favorite Christmas movie. Now, outside of that, I mean, we were talking the other day, Alistair's A Christmas Carol has got to be up there. One of the all-time greats, one of the all-time best things ever. A lot of the traditional ones. By the way, Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. If you Disagree with that? Argue with Bruce Willis. But I agree with him. Die Hard is not a Christmas movie. It's a story that happens to take place at Christmas time, but it has nothing to do with the movie. But that's another debate for another day. All right. Thanks for that, Pat. And next up, we got Lone Wolf who writes, the Dustin and Steve scenes are my favorite ones. I'll tell you what, there's a scene in the trailer, so this isn't giving anything away. It's in the trailer. When Dustin and Steve say to each other, the first guy says, you die, I die. And then Dustin says, you die, I die. It's a great moment in the trailer. It plays even better in the show. Like when you watch the show and you see the context of it, to then those two have that moment where they say to each other, you die, I die. It reminds me a lot of, what's the Ron Howard fire film, Backdraft? It reminds me of Backdraft when, you know, he's holding them at the end. You go, I go. It reminded me a lot of that. That's one of my favorite moments in a movie, by the way, is that moment in Backdraft. You go, I go. But yeah, if you watch the context and watch the whole episode, then it hits that moment when they say, you die, I die. It has an emotional hit. I thought it was really good. I thought that was a really good moment. All right. Next up, and our final question today comes to us from Brian Garcia, who writes, hey, John, I hope your Christmas day was great. It was a little bit under the weather, but it was great nonetheless. It was my 34th birthday yesterday, and we spent it watching Christmas movies all day, starting with White Christmas. Love and peace to all. Well, thank you so much for that. Yeah, we started early, man. Ann and I made breakfast, and the first people started showing up around 10 o'clock in the morning. And we spent most of the day with either basketball or football on the TV. And then more food arrived and we transitioned into lunch as more people arrived, and then more people arrived and we transitioned into dinner. There was a lot of food in Casa Campea yesterday. A lot of food and a lot of sports. And yeah, and for whatever reason, we also ended up watching Formula One. We ended up watching F1 with Brad Pitt. And then after everybody left, Ann and I cuddled up on the couch and watched the Stranger Things Season 5, Volume 2. So that's what we did. And I hope all of you had a wonderful Christmas. All right, listen, I'm going to take a couple of extra minutes here. If any of you guys in the live chat just have a question, look in the live chat what I just put in there. I put all in capital letters, question, colon. So if you have a question for me, put in all capital letters, question, colon, and I'll take just a couple of minutes here and I'll answer just a couple. I'm not going to answer all of them. Don't get mad if I don't answer yours. I'm just going to cherry pick out a couple and we will do a couple. All right. Let's see here. We got King Daddy Goat is writing in question. Excitement level for Stranger Things series finale. I'll tell you what, I wasn't all that stoked about it until watching Volume 2. I'm really excited for it. I'm really excited for it. Not my most anticipated show of the year or anything, but yeah, I'm excited for it. Let's see here. Terrence Fisher says, do you have a new time frame for which you are considering retirement? Yeah, it's a little bit more nebulous now. Remember, my original plan was to retire somewhere between when Superman comes out and the end of 2025. That was the original plan. But then, as I announced at the beginning of the year, two things happened. Signed a brand new sponsorship deal. That was pretty lucrative. And we got this van, because one of the reasons I want to retire is so I can, just travel around. I want to go to things. And we got this new camper van. That's a brand new thing, 2025 Nuvo Plus, that literally not only is it great to travel in, but I can actually do the show from it. So I don't have to not work and not do the show in order to travel. I can travel and do the show. And it's been a game changer. So now don't get me wrong though. New sponsorship deal, the van, all that kind of stuff. That doesn't mean I'm going to be doing the show for another 5 years. Not at all. I still want to retire early. I want to be able to retire at an age where I'm like still significantly young enough that I can just do all the stuff that I want to do. And I can just focus on that. So it's definitely not like 5 years. It's definitely not 4 years, but I don't really have a time frame now. Like it might be the end of 2026. maybe the end of 2027. It's a little bit more nebulous now. Like now that I've got the new sponsorship deal and now that I've got the van, that's even the most important part. It's really just a little bit more nebulous now. So I'm not really sure. I just know it probably won't be to the end of 2028. It'll probably be before then because I still do just want to retire. But some of my motivation for retiring has been satisfied without needing to retire. So that's going to stretch it out for a little bit. Good question, man. All right. Let's see. Where are we going? Legacy of Kane writes, question, are you excited for the upcoming Total War Warhammer 40K real-time strategy empire management game set up on multiple planets? I'd be lying if I said I was. I played Warhammer, like the actual tabletop figures, all that kind of stuff. My buddy Rodney got me into playing Warhammer. I haven't played it in years. Don't get me wrong. I'm not like Henry Cavill. I'm not like ongoing obsessed with it. But I played Warhammer. But I can tell you, I've never played a Warhammer video game. Not because I've avoided them. I've just never played a Warhammer video game. So since I've never played a Warhammer video game, I can't say that I'm like super excited about that particular game coming up, but hopefully it's good. All right. Buddha writes, question, how would you feel about a Bills-Rams Super Bowl matchup? By the way, that is my Super Bowl prediction. My Super Bowl prediction is Bills-Rams. It would be great because those are the two teams that I currently follow the most. I mean, Buffalo, because off and on, they've been my number one team my whole life. I mean, there's a big stretch of years where once Bill Parcells became the coach of the New England Patriots, I started following them. And then I followed them. They were like my favorite team for like 15 years until like the team was completely gone. Like Belichick's gone, Brady's gone, Gronk is gone, Edelman's gone. Like everybody who I followed, like it's just a different team now. And other than the Toronto Maple Leafs, for me, my sports fandom, I do not pledge allegiance to any logo. Like I like teams. And so there are teams that I cheer for. And then when that team is completely different, it's completely gone, I might start following a different team. But Buffalo has been around there the whole time because they've always been in my top 5 because I grew up right around Buffalo. And I love the Bills, love Josh Allen, all that kind of stuff. And then the LA Rams, because that's my local team now. So go home team. So I cheer for that. But anyway, that has nothing to do with the fact that my Super Bowl prediction is Buffalo and the Rams. I think that's going to be the Super Bowl. Let's see. Where are we at? Here we are. Last one I'm going to do. Jake Clark writes, question, who's most likely to die in Stranger Things 5 finale? At least top 5. I think Steve dies. I don't think any of the main core of kids die. I don't think any of the younger kids die. But I think Steve dies. I think he's the big one. I think Steve dies. That's my guess. I don't know that, obviously. I'm just guessing. But that would be my guess, is that Steve dies. And all right, guys, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show on this special holiday Boxing Day. Thank you guys so much for taking some time out of your holiday to spend here with us as we talked about some of our favorite things. I'm glad you guys are here. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in the super chats. Number 1, because it gave us great fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported this channel as you did it. And all of us involved with the show, thank you guys so very much for your support. May you guys have a wonderful rest of your Christmas vacation weekend. We'll look forward to seeing you back on Monday. We'll have a full house in here, me, Jonathan, Rob. We're looking forward to having you guys too. That'll do it for me for now, guys. Thanks a lot for being here. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.